All right.
All right, so this is Chef Peter again, and thank you for joining me for episode 2 of Through the Eyes of a Chef. Today we will be preparing a Argentinian grilled flank steak with chimichurri and roasted potatoes. As you can see, what I've done here right now already, this is my flank steak. About an hour ago or so, I had it out of the cooler so that it could warm up to room temp, and I salted it as well on top. If you put a thin half-inch layer on any layer of beef and or steak or any type of other meat, it'll really pull moisture out of it, so it makes it really tender. Flank steak being a tough type of meat already as it is, putting the salt on it really helps it break down the tough sinew, which are tendons in between the muscle, to help it be more tender, more like a cut of porterhouse or T-bone. So before you are doing anything with your cut of beef, you want to take it over to the sink and rinse it off thoroughly. And getting all the salt off there is a big thing because the salt won't season it if you wash it off. But if you leave it on there, it'll make it massively salty. So if you can see the steak already as it is, it's already starting to break down a whole bunch in between all those lines, and that's going to give you that really soft, cut it with a fork type of texture. Bring it back over here. So what we're going to do is have a cast iron skillet on medium-high heat. Get it nice and warmed up. And while we're doing that, I'm going to show you how to dress your roasted potatoes. So what I like to use is a nice red bliss potato. What you want to do is you want to cut it in wedges. And if your potatoes are larger, you can cut it in smaller pieces. You can cut a piece in half, then cut that in a wedge. The biggest thing you want to look for is uniformity in your potatoes. When you uniform cut them, it'll create a much better roast. It'll cook it evenly. You won't have potatoes that are overdone. You won't have potatoes that are overdone. Considering since roasting a potato takes about 40 minutes when you're doing it properly, anywhere between 40 and 45, at 450 degrees in your oven. I already have my batch of potatoes in the oven cooking, so I can show you guys. I just wanted to be able to show you how to cut up your potato for your roasted potatoes right here, and let you know the seasoning that I have on my potatoes right now is really simple. Just fresh diced garlic, a little bit of minced onion, paprika, salt, and fresh cracked black pepper. A reason why you want to use fresh cracked black pepper is because it's going to give you a much better pepper flavor. You can use already ground pepper from the store, but it's going to get a little bit less of a bite to it. If you have the fresh cracked black pepper, you can use a little bit less and it'll give you more of a peppery bite. So, as I said before, my potatoes are already in the oven cooking. So we are going to start on the skirt steak, also known for flank steak. You're going to salt it a little bit. Add a little bit of cracked black pepper. And that's it. I really want the flavor of the beef to stick out in this dish. I don't want to over-season. I don't want to under-season it. So just a little bit, just to give it a nice flavor and everything else. So you bring it over to your iron skillet. Now, it's raining a little bit outside, so we can't obviously grill it. Put a little bit of olive oil in the pan. I like to use olive oil. Some places will tell you don't use olive oil because it'll get too hot and burn, but I've yet to have that occur with me. So make sure you have it evenly over the pan. And then put your seasoned side down in the pan. Now what you're listening for is that big searing noise that you get. If your pan's not making that noise, you don't have your pan hot enough, and you're going to get kind of a boiling action going on with the meat, which will create a more chewy, tough type of cut when you're done with the finished product. And once your steak is in the oven, or in the pan, season it again on the other side. A little bit of salt and a little bit of black pepper. And then just let it start to cook. So now that the steak is in the pan, you want to turn your heat up to high so that you retain the heat and you keep that even nice sear on it. And while that's cooking, I'm going to show you how to make the chimichurri sauce. So the chimichurri is a Argentinian beef sauce. They use it actually for a lot of their meats, anything from beef to to chicken, to pork, but what we see on in America most often is steak, and specifically the flank steak, because in Argentina it's a very cheap cut. Used to be very cheap here in America, but unfortunately the Food Network has broadcasted it as a very, very good cut of meat to use for its leanness and how healthy it is compared to porterhouse and T-bone. So more people have been wanting to buy it, demand goes up, supply goes down, and the price skyrockets. So pick a good bunch of cilantro. That is your main base to this sauce. Alright, once you get your cilantro picked, you just want to run through it real nice with a knife. One of the biggest things is having a really sharp knife. If you don't have a sharp knife, you risk cutting yourself with a dull blade. My knife that I chose is a little more expensive than most at-home cook. I have a Japanese steel knife. Very good, holds its edge very true, super sharp. But there's a lot of good German brands and European style brand knives that also bring the same value as a Japanese knife, just at a little less of a price for your at-home person. So while you're chopping through your cilantro, you're going to get a really good smell out of it. It's going to be really fresh, really bright. You're going to love the smell in your house. After you run through it, put it in your bowl. And then you're going to grab 2 cloves of garlic. Now, easy way to peel garlic, cut off the end that's attached to the bulb itself. Lay them on their side, put the side of your blade down, give it a good smack. And the clove will, as you see, fall right out of its skin. Then you just mince it really sharp, really fine, keep your hands curved, and run through the garlic really quick. And one of the biggest things with a chimichurri sauce, besides the cilantro, is the raw taste of garlic. You want that bite to it and the heat that it provides. Now your garlic's all chopped up, put it in the bowl with it. Cilantro. Take a lime, and whenever you're going to juice a lime, you want to kind of roll it on your cutting board, or this goes for any citrus in general, and it'll kind of get it a little bit softer. It'll start breaking down the inner membranes of the fruit itself, and you're going to squeeze a half a lime in there. After you do that, you're going to grab your olive oil, and you're going to drizzle some olive oil in there, just about 2 tablespoons worth, because you want it to be more cilantro and garlic than anything else. The olive oil is just there to add a little bit of binder to keep it staying together and a touch of flavor, but nothing much else. Alright, and your chimichurri is done. Back over to the steak now. So the thing you're looking for when you're cooking the steak is you want to see it start to brown slightly on the sides, but what you're really looking for is it to start to pool juices on the top of the steak. So you'll see over here, there's a little bit of juice pooling there. What you want to do is take a peek. You see how it's nice and clear brown, and it releases from the pan easily. That means Maillard browning has happened, and that's caramelization or cooking of proteins. And so when you get to that point, you want to put your steak. It'll help it so you don't overcook any side at all. And then when you're cooking on this side, you want to wait to see juices come up through it again, and you can flip it once more. There's a common saying that says that you flip a steak once and that's it. That's actually not true. The more you flip a steak, the more even it can cook, so therefore you'll come out with a juicier, overall better cooked steak than you would if you only flip the steak once. You'll have more brown in it. And what we're looking for here with the flank steak is medium rare. Anything over medium rare is going to cause it to be chewy, and you don't want it. Flank steak's used for quick grilling or braising, and that's it. So now we're looking at the flank steak here. Something to think about, as you see me poking it, is there's a way to tell the doneness. So if you hold your hands like this, that right there is rare. You go to your middle finger, medium rare. Ring finger is medium well. Pinky is well done. You don't want that. No one wants that. That's shoe leather. Very bad flavor, takes all the meat away. Takes all the flavor out, takes all the blood out. No one wants that. People who want that shouldn't be ordering steak. So as it cooks, there's a little bit of time between this, and got nothing else to do, so I'm going to tell you a Peter Fisher fun fact. Just so that you know, Brazil is the largest beef making country in the world. They grow the most amount of cattle over any other country, and America happens to be the largest beef consumption country in the world, with over 25.6 billion pounds of beef consumed per year. That is more money than what Bill Gates is worth. So, as you think about that and chew on it for a little bit, you might realize that the steak's going to taste a little bit better. So now we're cooking that. We're going to take a peek at our potatoes. And like I said, I've had these in the oven now for almost 45 minutes. Pulling them out. You see there's a nice golden brown layer on the outside of them. And they're getting nice and crispy on the outside. So not only do you want to look for a nice tender, soft center, but you also want the outside to have a little bit of crunch to it. So it gives your whole entire meal another consistency, another profile in the texture. So those are done now. We don't need to worry about those anymore. So we'll turn the oven off. Set those aside. Steak's still cooking a little bit. It's just about a little over rare right now. You don't want to pull it off too soon, but we'll give it another flip. As you can see, it's nice and golden brown all around the steak itself. And one other thing that putting the salt has done on it is it lets it loosen. So if you were to cook a steak like this really quick without doing the salt, it would cause the edges to curl up, and it'd be really curly. You just don't want that in a steak itself. But the thing about this steak is it will cook very, very fast. So now that it's already been flipped once, the cast iron skillet holding all of its heat has already cooked it to medium rare like I want. Put it on your tray. One of the biggest things with steak is letting it rest. A lot of people will forget that step, and it will cause a very, very dry steak. No matter how well you cook it, if you cook it completely medium rare, if you cook it completely rare, it'll still come out not very juicy if you cut it right away. You want to let a steak rest for about 7 minutes, roughly. And that'll let it loosen up, it'll get its juices out, but then it'll pull its juices back in for you. So we're going to make a quick little garnish while we're waiting for that to happen. Cut up some of the little bit leftover lime you have there. Get our plate ready. Obviously have a drink of beer. Right now is the beginning of October, so the Oktoberfest are starting to come out, and pumpkin beers. I'm currently drinking Oktoberfest, one of my favorite. If you stay tuned to next episode, I will be doing a full beer review on Oktoberfest. So I'm going to try and go back and forth between cooking food and doing beer. I'll go based off of what my viewers comment and ask for. If you ask me to review a certain beer, I'll do my hardest to obtain it and review it for you. If you ask me to do a certain meal, I will also do my hardest to study up on that meal and cook it for you to show you how easy it is to cook at home. So now that we have let it rest a little bit, we're going to grab some of our potatoes here. Now, with this nice square plate, we're going to put a little bit of the potatoes in the corner. And since I don't have the time to show you all having it rest for 7 minutes, I'm going to do what I just told you not to do and cut it too early. But with this kind of steak, you also want to cut it on the bias and against the grain. So your grain is running this direction. So you can see all the lines running this way. If you cut with that, it's going to perform horribly. It's going to get really chewy, it's going to get really sinewy. But if you cut it against the grain, like so, and on a bias cut, which means at an angle, you will see that the steak is falling apart already. It's not chewy at all, very, very juicy, cooked perfectly to medium rare. I'll cut a few pieces off of here. Cut that in half. Put that over the potatoes. Add just a touch of the chimichurri sauce over top of your steak. Then garnish with a cilantro sprig and a wedge of lime. And there you have Argentine grilled flank steak with roasted potatoes and chimichurri sauce.